folks. This is BeingNess video 3, and I'm coming at you from Boston, Massachusetts, where I'm about to lead a circling immersion, and I've got an amazing view of the city behind me. This is the first circling immersion in Boston so far as I know, and we're gearing up to do a training starting in January, which I'm super excited for, and if you're excited too, you should contact me, because we've still got spots. And it seemed like good timing. I haven't done one of these in a while because I've been trying to find a good topic. And a video I recorded with Jason Diggs yesterday about my authentic leadership and facilitation training, and this weekend had it feel really apt to make a video on learning and leadership. So this is me letting my brain spin out on that. So my theories on this stuff is basically like, on leadership, there's this phrase of like everything's leadership. Like you're leading in your life all the time, which might be more or less true. Like, yes, we're leading in different ways. You can say leadership is just what I call like expression plus attunement plus action. So it's like being aware of what I feel and what I'm witnessing in the world, which could be like, okay, there's a problem, like homelessness in America. That could be seen as an issue. And me being aware of that is one thing, and expressing about it is the second point. And maybe like the leadership that I do is just saying, hey, friends, I'm recognizing this as a problem. So it's just kind of this raising awareness sort of leadership. And you can have that in a group as well, which is like, hey, guys, we haven't had a break in 2 hours and I'm feeling kind of restless. Can we have a break? Speaking up in the face of other leadership, and there's almost always other leadership, is difficult already. And so training those muscles, I think, is a form of leadership. And then the second is attunement, which is, okay, so like when I say that, what happens in other people? If my crusade is something that nobody else is going along with, then most likely I'm not going to actually get the people behind me that allows me to be a powerful leader. In fact, I might even alienate people. So even if the thing I'm noticing is really powerful, if I'm not attuned to the people around me and their reactions, I'm going to lose supporters, and most likely I'm going to lose friends too. So there's the fact of like, you can watch people's facial expressions when you express something, like, hey, I need a break. Does anyone else? You can check in and say, can you raise your hand if you do? So that's a form of attunement, or just see the way people respond. And again, this isn't so much even about whether or not the thing you're noticing is a powerful thing to notice. It's also about the way you deliver it. Often I'll notice, so like when I'm scared, my voice sounds frustrated. And people don't respond to it as well, because when we hear frustration, I think some part of us kind of gets on edge. And in me, it's my attempt to defend vulnerable parts of myself, but to others, it sounds like I'm mad. So when I'm scared, I actually have to slow down, feel into my body. I was a little scared right now. And speak from this place, which lands often quite differently. So that's one form of leadership. And then another, there's going to be somebody coming in behind me. The last is action. So it's like, if you've expressed what's true for you, if you've attuned to what's happening in others when you express, it can even be like, how many people actually sign your petition? What's the wording of it? There's action. And that could be putting out the petition. It could be organizing a march if your cause is political. It could be choosing to stand up and go to the bathroom even if nobody else is cool with having a break. Action is, I think, even separate from expression and attunement often, because we can do it without those two things. We can just take action on something that we care about, and it may or may not land. And in fact, even if nobody was going along with our idea when we expressed it, when we act on it, they might see it completely differently. So often the way that I lead is I just try different actions and then see how they work. Okay. So that's something on different theories of leadership. Oh, and the last thing I'll say about that is, I think that there's, in leadership, there's unconscious and conscious competence. So, and I go over this in the trainings that I run a lot, because, if I've got 3 days to train someone in how to lead, I have to do a mix of first training them in basic skills that they're going to need. So if I'm training in facilitation, there's things like, how do you get a room full of people quiet? How do you take shares? How do you organize the flow of an event? How do you lead a specific activity? These are things that I wouldn't feel complete if they got out without knowing. But there's a way of being competence as well. So you can have all the doing correct, but if you don't actually have the beingness, when you're under stress, you're going to kind of revert back to the least resourced part. So if my response to stress is to feel scared and then for my voice to get kind of tense and frustrated, as soon as a situation occurs where I don't feel safe, which is common in leadership and in anywhere really, I'm going to start sounding frustrated and people are going to be alienated, most likely. So the question is, can I use that unconscious frame as a form of leadership or recognize more when it's happening? So this is one reason why I think personal growth work gets so emphasized in leadership. And actually there's a lot of really interesting articles right now that I've been reading on management training and executive training where they're saying that personal development is actually one of the most missed and most important parts, because A, it's the thing that everyone else sees and we often don't, our negative habits, and B, it's the thing that we revert to in times of stress, and the modern world is stressful, so we're going to revert to it a lot. And training how to identify your unconscious habits, which I call our superpowers and kryptonites, because, for every kind of downside of it, there's often an upside that's really served us. Like me feeling scared and getting defensive actually puts somewhat of a wall around me where I'm more aware of myself and can more stand up for my own boundaries. So yeah, training in the unconscious as well as the conscious competence. And the last thing I'm going to say is on theories of learning, because in leading anything, there's also this attunement piece of like, how are people going to respond to what I'm doing and what I'm teaching? And I think people learn in several different ways. And we can't always cater to every individual human, but what we can do is identify the basic meta ways that people learn and try to cater to them, which at the simplest level is some people learn best through reading, some people learn best through listening, some people learn best through trying. I happen to think that more people learn through trying and potentially reading than listening, so I gear a little bit towards that in courses, especially the experiential. But for you, I'm curious, what's your learning style? And I think schools often think that people learn through listening and they learn through writing. And that's just not true of everyone. So you may have come to believe that you're bad at math or you're bad at history or something, when actually just the way that you were taught didn't work for you. The coolest thing about this is some really interesting research I've been hearing about lately from friends at the Center for Applied Rationality, is that the way that people actually learn best, and this totally makes sense, is by teaching. So if you can get somebody to teach information to someone else, and this idea is being employed actually even in some really progressive high schools now. If you can get people to teach information to others, they learn much faster, which makes sense because in Austin, I think one of the ways facilitators in our community really grow are by mentoring other facilitators and teaching them, sometimes only months after they've completed their own trainings. So I plan to weave that in at the least into my next circling training and possibly into the next authentic leadership weekends, and I'm excited to see how that goes. Okay guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'd love to hear what you think of it and any ideas you have of future videos. And if you're interested in more or just want to reach out, you can contact me. My email is Sarah, SARA, @authrev.com. Have a good day.